For toe splays, we want all 5 of our toes ideally to separate as much as we can. For most of us, we're going to want to start with really just thinking about the big and little toes, trying to pull them apart from one another. You can keep your toes on the floor. They don't have to lift off. If you do choose to lift your toes just a little bit, make sure the ball of your foot, so this portion, stays grounded. All right, so it's only the toes hovering, not the whole foot. So toes can hover or they can stay grounded, whatever's more comfortable for you. And I want you to think as much as you can as separating those toes apart from one another. If you're trying to make big toe reach as far to one side, baby toe, and those ones in between. Once you've done that, keep them there and relax, all right? So again, we can hover slightly, separate those toes as much as we can. Again, the ball of that foot is grounded. Keeping those toes long, try to lay them down and relax. So these are done slow and with control. We are targeting small muscles in between the toes, and these take intention and awareness to engage. So for a lot of us, we might not even be able to move our feet, or move our toes. So if that's the case, we're gonna manually assist. So I'm gonna ask you, if you're trying to separate and you're just staring and nothing is happening, you're gonna take your fingers and you are manually going to pull big and little toe apart wide, plant them down onto the ground or whatever surface you're on. Think of those middle toes, right? Staying grounded as well. And then with your fingers pressing down over the big and little toes, simultaneously try to ground or press big and little toe down into the surface. At which point I want you to then take your thumbs away. Keep the toes grounded in that spread apart position for a count of 5. 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. So if you're going through this exercise and you're like, man, I have to separate it every time, I still want you to do the number of repetitions that are indicated on whatever programming you're doing, but I want you to hold each repetition for a count of 5, right? Unless you were able to separate on your own and get a little movement there. But what I would like is, if you're not seeing anything, manually pull those toes apart, press them down, think of then grounding all those 5 toes into the floor, and then let go. Try and keep those toes there and relax. You can do a couple of other things like wrap a rubber band or a hair tie around your toes. Nothing too tight, but something that gives you a little pressure to push those toes open against. That can sometimes be helpful, but otherwise start with that manual assist. That's a great place to be. If you find that your toes come right back in when you're manually holding them there, then the next thing you do is just continue to stay there. And we ground those toes down till we can feel some muscles underneath those toes, particularly feel like they're doing some work. All right, so that is the toe splay.